Howdy all, Chris Mystery Cleaning with the Far Coast once again. Welcome to another video. So I wanted to talk today ultimately about confidence and that tying in with you knowing your worth as a newly minted self-employed bod. I've seen a post on Facebook, one of the window cleaning forums, that a young lad, I'm presuming is a young lad, is asking for how much they would quote for a certain job, and he included pictures, and so basically it was a conservatory newly added to the back of an existing house, and he wanted as many people to comment, etc., about what they would charge for this conservatory, so he could show the customer, so that he could impress upon the customer the fact that, you know, he wasn't ripping them off, and he was doing his due diligence, and he was acting with integrity and all this sort of good stuff. And it reminded me of a time where I was very much like that, in the sense that, I don't want the customer thinking that I'm ripping them off, and what happens if this, and what happens if that, and I don't want to lose the customer. And the bottom line is that it's evident that when you start a business, you're going to have these doubts about what the customer thinks, or what you think the customer will think. And I've got myself tied up in knots in the past of increasing the price, things going up, or I've got to raise the price, or they've had an addition onto their property that obviously has not been quoted for, and you've got to raise the price accordingly. And it's, how can I put it? Once you're confident in who you are, what you deliver, what you stand for, what you will tolerate, and probably more important, what you won't tolerate, the customer will, by and large, accept, things as the way they are, or they won't. So the thing is, for me, and it's very easy for me, sort of being an outsider looking in, to sort of turn around and say, well, I wouldn't do that, I do X, Y, and Z. And, it's dead easy to point fingers and sort of go, well, look at him, and he's not doing this and blah, and he's not doing that right. Opinions are like bumholes, everybody's got one. But what I'm getting at in this video is ultimately that, let's say for argument's sake, I have a customer who puts a new conservatory on the back of their house, and this happened actually to me this week. We're charging 20 quid for a house, and then they put a new conservatory on the back, and they wanted just a flat glass doing. They weren't bothered about the conservatory roof being done. But to put things in more perspective, that conservatory has more windows in it than an average house. It's quite a big conservatory. And so I've added on an additional £12 to the price of the house. So now that house is now, for me to do the windows, is £32, and that's not including the conservatory roof. You've just got to, when it comes to situations like this, the best thing you can probably do is to sort of factor in how long a job takes, what the additional effort, resources, time that you're going to have to put into that to accomplish the task, and let the customer deal with it. The customer then will either sort of evaluate and say, well, actually that's too much, and they will probably find someone else, or they will go, yeah, no dramas, just crack on. But either way, you don't have to prove anything to anybody. The days of you, once you start a business, the days of you having to prove yourself to other people end. So you have to come at it from the perspective of that what you have to offer is going to be of interest to people, and that people's self-interest is going to take care of the rest. They're going to want their property cleaning. They're not going to care who does it. They're not going to care ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, you know, they're not going to care to some degree how much it costs, so long as you take the problem off them, providing you go after the right kind of customer. If you're coming at it from the perspective of you having to impress upon other people that I'm acting with integrity, I am, honestly, and oh, well, if you don't believe me, look. And it's like, there is almost an air of desperation that comes over you that everybody can see, including the customer. If you act too much like it matters, the customer will read into that. The customer will read into what you do one way or the other. Now ask yourself this: is it better to have a customer read into the fact that it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter if you get this job or not, you know, or is it going to, you know, adversely affect you if the customer thinks that you're desperate to do this job, that you need this work and you don't want to lose the money and blah, blah, blah. You're coming in it from a completely different perspective. If you, when you go to quote a job, you come at it from the perspective of, you've asked me to come and give you a quote, and I couldn't care less if you see the value in what I have to offer or not. This is what you've asked me to do. This is what we will do, and this is how much it's going to cost you. And we can start on this date if you want us to. Just let me know. I've learned quite a lot from other people doing exterior cleaning, window cleaning, that kind of thing, in my local area, where there's almost, I won't say a disdain for the customer, but there's almost this persona, this attitude that you do not care if you get the job or not, because your mission is not to get the job. Your mission is ultimately to perform a service and to be paid well for that service. And if you go at it from I would much rather, there's obviously always a middle ground, and it's not a case of doing one versus the other. But let's say at one end of the scale you've got a guy who goes in there, who's of the persona that he doesn't care whether or not he gets to work, and you've got on the other side of the argument a guy that goes in there Oliver Twist fashion, please sir, can I have some more? If you come at it from the middle, which is, look, yeah, sure, I absolutely want the work, but I'm not here to be used as a doormat, that is probably the happy Goldilocks zone. That's where you are, you know, you're not too cocky that I don't need you. You're not arrogant, but at the same time you're not a doormat, and it's a balancing act. And what I would say is this young lad who's asking for people to comment on his post and how much this and blah blah to get an idea of, you know, to prove to the customer that he's not a scumbag and he's not sort of taking the customer for a ride. I think in wanting to do the right thing, he's going too far. He's basically painting himself as a person who is so desperate to impress the customer that he will sort of, you know, almost go out of his way to establish facts when he's not even been asked to. If you're going at it from the position of, I could care less whether I get this job or not, then you run the risk of being, you know, coming across as being too cocky. But if you come at it from the position of, you know, knowing your own worth and saying, my name's Chris, I'm here to help you where I can, etc. And there's almost this unwritten aura. You don't say, you would never say to a customer, I'm not here to be messed around. But the way you conduct yourself will ultimately prevent other people from wanting to mess you around. So yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, is do not be in too quick a hurry to impress the customer. You know, let your service and the services that you offer speak for themselves, and then seek out people who value that service, who want it done, and then, you know, let the rest take care of itself. Thanks for enduring to the end of the video. If you like the content that I put out, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow. I am aware that there's about 60% of people that watch this channel are not subscribed to the channel. Why not? It's free. please subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you in the next video. As per usual, keep on keeping on.